Stephen Foster on Sunday. BBC Radio Suffolk.
Great to be here once again, and great to be able to talk to American singer-songwriter Steve Forbert. We'll be linking up with him from his home in New Jersey after this. And if you've been following Steve's music from the word go, you'll be well familiar with this song, Romeo's Tune. The music of Steve Forbert, who I'm delighted to say is my first music guest on the programme this evening. He joins us now from New Jersey. Hi, Steve.
Good evening. How are you, Stephen? Good to hear you.
Yeah, good to hear you too. I'm very well indeed. And how are things with you in lockdown in the States? Because it's pretty bad over there too, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I'm in New Jersey, as you just said, and that's the second worst state we have as far as, virus cases. So it's all, I'm okay, and those are immediately around me are okay so far, and we're just following the rules.
Staying indoors and not doing much, I take it.
That's right.
How do you cope then with all that spare time on your hands? Are you good in isolation?
You know, it turns out that I'm releasing this record, a new record that will be available worldwide May 8th. And there's plenty of work to be done to talk to people and spread the word. And I'm kind of busy doing that.
And it's available on various platforms to download, no doubt. What about physical copies?
We are making compact discs. There will be CDs, no vinyl. And those should be available in the UK, I would say, within a week or so.
Because you've still got a big following here in the UK. You're very fondly thought of here.
Well, thank you.
And I know that you were going to be playing at the Maverick Music Festival later this summer here in Suffolk. Are you hoping to come over still perhaps in the new year?
I would say that. That sounds like a pretty safe bet. As soon as possible, but, we're all waiting out these variables.
The new album that you've referred to there, Steve, is a covers album. What made you go for a covers album this time round?
Well, we started this record a year ago here in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and I felt that it was a good time after 20 studio albums of original material. I would take a breather, keep writing songs, but put some work into doing some covers for fun. It's so hectic out there. It was at the time, and now, of course, it's even stranger with this pandemic. So it's kind of a thing of, for lack of a better term, an easy assignment. These are songs I think your audience will know. Some of them they will know well. And it doesn't require a lot of homework, shall we say. It's just a breather.
And you deserve a breather, Steve, because you've been pretty prolific down the decades.
Well, thank you.
Songwriting for you, obviously, is top of your agenda normally, but it's nice to sort of let your hair down on this occasion.
Right. And my hair wants cutting.
Yeah, mine too.
But sure, that's right, and it's fun. It's really fun. I mean, we even have overtly fun things like a rocked-up version of the Kinks' supersonic rocket ship, and an old country favorite called "Pick Me Up on Your Way Down," and then we have things moody like Suzanne, Leonard Cohen's Suzanne, and regular folk rock stuff like "Someday Soon" or "Early Morning Rain."
I was a bit surprised to see Elton John's Your Song on the album, Steve. I know that Elton John was absolutely huge in the United States back in the 1970s.
That's true. The thing with that is I thought we should have a couple of things on the record that were, flagships, clear, popular, well-known, super popular songs. Well, a lot of it's esoteric, Stephen, like Withered and Died by Richard Thompson is not something people in Oklahoma know, per se. But we wanted a couple on the record that would be flag wavers, Of course, the thing with recording a song like Your Song, it's so well loved and so well known that you've got to, you better do a good job of it because, everybody can easily pass judgment on it since Elton's hit is so well known.
The title song is one that I know you're very fond of, obviously. Your favourite version of Early Morning Rain was done by Elvis Presley, I hear.
Yeah, oddly enough. And it was a live version, a live recording from a record called Elvis in Concert. It was in the touring years in the 70s, and it just happened to me, it's just a wonderful version. There's several versions of him performing that song at that time, because everything Elvis did pretty much wound up on tape. But this is the one from that. The one I like is from that Elvis in Concert. I know you've got a lot of super Elvis fans in the UK. They'll know the one I mean. And that sort of inspired me.
And a song written by the great Canadian singer-songwriter Gordon Lightfoot. Have you run into Gordon down the years?
No, I never have. I'm going to do an interview with Danny O'Keefe soon. He's going to join me for an interview since I've covered his song, Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues. But the answer to your question is no. And there's a couple of other Canadians. Ian Tyson, someday soon. Ian Tyson is represented, and as I mentioned, Leonard Cohen with Suzanne.
But we're going to play the title track right now on the programme, Steve. This is Steve Forbert with Early Morning Rain. Great new version of Gordon Lightfoot's Early Morning Rain from Steve Forbert, who's guesting on the programme right now. Steve joining us on the line from his home in New Jersey. Steve, Gordon Lightfoot, a veteran singer-songwriter now, still doing the business. Still
going out there and playing. I would like to see him. I never have.
So the other ones on here, you've mentioned most of them, but there's a Bob Dylan song or two, isn't there? Certainly there's Dignity.
Yes, there's just one, Dignity, which was an outtake from the Oh Mercy album. The Oh Mercy record came out in 1988, and I've loved this song ever since it surfaced on some bootlegs. And finally got around to, interpreting it.
Well, I've been playing the latest music from Bob Dylan on the programme in recent weeks, and my word, he's still sounding and indeed writing as good as ever. So, Steve, a Bob Dylan song on there. So you're obviously very fond of these songs. What do you hope that you've achieved by this album, then? The songwriter's still with us. You hope to get their seal of approval, I should think.
That would be a nice bonus. But the thing is to... I believe in these songs. I know them well, and I can really vouch for them. And I've tried to put them in my best light. It is to just sort of renew people's appreciation for these songs and this type of songwriting craftsmanship and this kind of poetry in the lyrics.
Let's talk about another track on the album. You mentioned it earlier, actually, the Kinks at Supersonic Rocket Ship. And just give us an insight into just how important that the Kinks have been down the years for music lovers in the States.
Well, I can't speak for them. The Kinks did great business as an arena act later on in their career. I can tell you that as far as the entire country goes. But for me particularly, I was always incredibly inspired by their work. For the early things like Set Me Free. And I spent a lot of time with those Village Green sort of things, God Save the Village Green. And I spent a lot of time with the Lola versus the Power Men and the Money Go Round. And my answer is kind of don't get me started.
Because the Kinks are really an archetypal British band, aren't they? Certainly, very, very English. So they did okay in the States.
Well, of course, you couldn't release a single like Victoria and zoom up the charts in the U.S., but Lola caught fire over here, and so did even later Come Dancing. And the Kinks are one of the top groups in the history of rock and roll.
Well, Steve, we've run out of time, but thank you very much indeed for being with us on the programme. It's been lovely linking up with you again.
Oh, I'm glad to talk to you. I'm glad to get a chance to, talk on a bit about pop music and songs.
And I'm sorry that you can't make it now to Suffolk this summer for obvious reasons, and we hope to see you back in the UK just as soon as you can get over here.
Thank you, Stephen.
I've always loved that song. That's a fantastic new version of Supersonic Rocket Ship by the Kinks, performed by Steve Forbert, and that's from Steve's new album, Early Morning Rain, which came out in the UK on Friday. And you can get a digital copy of that, obviously, online, and there will be physical copies as well. Great to catch up with Steve Forbert. I was really looking forward to seeing him at this summer's Maverick Festival at Eastern Farm Park here in Suffolk. Sadly, Steve Forbert not able to come over. Talking of Eastern, I have a note here via email from Peter. Peter, lovely to hear from you.